People think winter makes places quieter, that when snow falls and water freezes, the world slows down and becomes peaceful. That's not true. Winter doesn't make things quiet. It just removes the noise that hides everything else. And on New Year's Eve 3 years ago, I learned that some sounds don't fade with time. They just wait for the right moment to start again. The town sits along the edge of a long, narrow lake. In summer, it's busy: boats, swimmers, tourists. But in winter, it empties out. By late December, most people stick to their homes, and the lake becomes nothing more than a wide, white space everyone avoids looking at for too long. That night was December 31st. Snow hadn't fallen in almost a week, which was unusual. The cold had been steady, brutal, the kind that hardens everything. The lake froze early that year, and by New Year's Eve it looked solid enough to drive a truck across. My friend Ethan and I didn't have plans. We never really did. Most of our friends had left town, and the ones who stayed were busy drinking somewhere loud. We didn't feel like pretending to celebrate another year passing. So we parked near the lake. It was just after 11:30 p.m. The sky was clear, the moon sharp and bright. The ice reflected it perfectly, like a mirror stretched out for miles. No wind, no animals, no movement. We sat in silence for a while, the car engine ticking as it cooled. That's when we heard it. A scream, not loud at first, almost easy to ignore, high-pitched and thin, like it was being carried from far away. Ethan turned the radio down. We listened. Came again. "Help me." A child's voice. Not distorted, not echoing, just there. I remember thinking how wrong it sounded. Sound on a frozen lake should travel, bounce, stretch. This didn't. It felt close and distant at the same time. Ethan laughed, but it wasn't real laughter. More like a reflex. "Probably kids messing around," he said. I didn't answer. The scream came again, sharper this time. Panicked. From the middle of the lake. We rolled down the windows. The cold rushed in immediately, biting at our faces. The sound didn't get clearer. It didn't fade either. It stayed exactly the same. That was the first thing that really bothered me. Sound doesn't behave like that. We grabbed our flashlights and stepped out of the car. The air smelled clean and metallic. The kind of smell you only get when it's dangerously cold. Our boots crunched loudly on the frozen ground as we approached the shoreline. I hesitated at the edge of the ice. It looked too perfect. Smooth, unbroken. No snow, no cracks, no footprints. Ethan stepped out first. The ice didn't react. No creaking, no warning sounds. I followed. At first, our footsteps echoed across the lake. Then, after maybe 20 steps, the sound just disappeared. Our boots still moved, but the noise was gone, like the ice had absorbed it. The scream came again, closer. We walked toward it, our flashlights cutting weak cones through the darkness. That's when we saw the figure. A child stood far ahead of us on the ice. Small, still. They weren't moving, not waving, not crying. Just standing there, facing away from us. Something about the posture made my stomach turn. Too rigid, too balanced. "Hey!" Ethan called out. "Are you okay?" No response. I raised my flashlight and aimed it at the child. The beam didn't reach them. It faded out before touching their body, like the darkness was thicker around them. The child slowly turned. I didn't see a face. Before I could focus, the world went white. It wasn't light the way light usually is. There was no brightness, no warmth. Just a sudden absence of everything else. Sound vanished. Time stopped. I didn't feel my body. I don't know how long it lasted. Could have been a second or an hour. Then suddenly, we were back at the shore, standing beside the car. The engine was cold. Ethan looked at me, confused, like he'd just woken up. "What just happened?" he asked. I checked my phone. 11:29 p.m. Earlier than when we first heard the scream. My chest tightened. I told him everything. About the ice, the child, the light. He frowned and shook his head. "You're messing with me," he said. Before I could respond, the scream. Again. Same voice. Same words. Same place. This time we didn't rush onto the ice. We watched. At exactly 11:37 p.m., the scream started. At 11:41, the lake grew unnaturally still. Even the air seemed to stop moving. At 11:42, the flash. From the center of the lake. No explosion. No sound. Just that blank, colorless light. And then nothing. No child. No scream. Just silence. We ran onto the ice after the light faded. There were no footprints. Not from the child. Not from us. The ice was untouched. That's when Ethan noticed something beneath the surface. A dark shape. Frozen. Human-shaped. Then another. And another. Small bodies. Suspended under the ice like they'd been caught mid-fall. We backed away slowly. Neither of us said a word. We didn't stay until midnight. We drove back into town. Hands shaking. Minds racing. Fireworks exploded overhead as the new year arrived. People hugged. Music blasted from houses and bars. Nobody heard the scream. The next morning, we went back with the police. Fresh snow covered the lake. They searched for hours. They found nothing. No cracks. No bodies. No evidence anything had ever happened. One officer told us we'd probably imagined it. Fatigue. Cold. Reflections. Ethan didn't argue. I couldn't speak. A week later, Ethan sent me a message. Just a link. An old newspaper article. 15 years earlier. New Year's Eve. A group of local kids had gone onto the lake to celebrate early. They'd brought fireworks, music, flashlights. The ice gave way. None of the bodies were ever recovered. The article ended with one sentence that made my blood run cold. Witnesses reported seeing unexplained flashes of light on the lake that night. Ethan doesn't talk about it anymore. Every December 31st, around 11:30, he shuts himself inside his house. Turns off every light. Covers the windows. I still drive by the lake sometimes. Only in winter. Only when the ice looks clean. Sometimes, when the world is quiet enough, I hear it. A child calling for help. Waiting for someone new to step onto the ice.